It would be nice to add some kind of controls to our alligator, right? Adding controls to our games add a great level of user interaction between the player and the game. So let's begin by clicking our player sprite and adding the platform behavior. Now, for the max speed, we leave it at 330. Acceleration and the deceleration, we leave it as is. Our jump strip, we leave it as is. Gravity, leave it as is. Max speed as is. Disabled for double jump. Jumps and staying 0. Default controls, yes. Now we need to add one more behavior to this alligator, and that's called bound to layout. So we type it in. This is just to make sure that when we press our left and right buttons, that our alligator doesn't leave the screen. Let's go back to our game event sheet. This time we create a new group called controls. Now let's add event. Type in touch. Is touching. Select that. This just tests if in a touch and the touch point is over our object. So for the object, we click the left button, well, left arrow, done. Now click on add action, find alligator, simulate, control, make sure the control scheme is left, click on add action, alligator, mirrored, set mirrored, and make sure the state is set to not mirrored. Done. So basically what this does is when the player touches the left arrow, we want to make sure that the alligator is moving left and that it's not mirrored the animation. Now we just drag this up to controls group. Take this little box here, right click, copy, and then on your keyboard press Control V. Here we double click. This time we select the right arrow, hit done, click this action, set the control to right, done, then click this action and select mirrored. This time when the player presses the right arrow, the player will move right and the animation will be mirrored. So to test this out, when we play our game, sorry, it's moving a little slow. As you can see, our alligator is moving left and right when we press our buttons. As you notice here, our alligator is below our ground, our initial ground here. So let's fix this. We take our box ground object that we created earlier in our series, and we go to behaviors, click the plus sign, click solid. So let's test our game. And then you can see here now the alligator is above our ground. Actually, he's a little too high, so we just need to adjust it accordingly. In fact, we don't even have to do that. We can just go back and click our alligator sprite, and we can just move these up a little bit. And what we want to do is we want to right click and apply to all animations. It says this will replace the collision polygon in all animations and all frames for this object. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. So when we look at the other animations, it's going to kind of give it it's going to make sure that it collides with its feet. Well, for this animation, we need to right click, apply to whole animation. And for the eat, it's okay. Next, we need to create an event for the alligator to open its mouth when the big X button is held. So you can do this by adding event, select touch, is touching object, and we need to select the X button. Then click on add action, select the alligator, and we need to type in set animation, and we need to change this animation to eat. Done. Now we need to add an event that tells the alligator to return back to its idle animation when the player isn't pressing any touch buttons on the screen. Without this, the alligator will be stuck using the eat animation. I'll show you an example. When we press the X button, you can see that his mouth is literally stuck open. So to fix this, we go to add event, touch, and then we find on any touch start. No, I'm sorry. On any touch end, click add action, alligator, type in set animation, set the animation to idle. Done. And so now when we test our game, press the X button. You see now his mouth opens and closes when you release it. Now we must give our alligator, food, and Bob objects collision detection in order for interaction between our objects. Without collision detection, our objects would just pass through each other with no interaction whatsoever, as you can see here. Now, let's close this out and go back to our game event sheet. Let's right click. Actually, first, before we do that, take these two events and make sure we have them in our control group. All right, now right click, click on add group. This time we need to name the group collisions. Now let's go to add event, find food, type in on collision until you find on collision with another object. Select the object, alligator. Done. Now, right click on this event, go to add another condition, go to alligator, type in is animation. Actually, no. Type in animation, find is playing, type in eat. Basically, what this whole event section right here means is when the alligator touches any of the food objects and it's playing the eat animation, which means that while its mouth is open and it touches one of the food objects, we need to do something. Now let's add action, find food, type in destroy, select it. We add another action. This time go to system, click add to, make sure the hunger counter value is 1, done. Add action, system, click add to again. This time select score, click done. Add one more action, click audio, find play, make sure the coin audio file is selected, make sure not looping is selected, leave volume as is, click done. So basically this whole event group right here is telling us that if any of the food objects inside the food family collides with the player when the player animation is eat is playing, then we need to destroy the food object. We need to add 1 to our hunger counter, which is our timer. I will be talking about that shortly. Add 1 to our score. I will be talking more about that shortly too. And we need to play the coin sound, which I will be showcasing soon. We also need to create the same whole event group for the bomb. So this is easy by right clicking, copy. Then after you do that, press Control V. This time, instead of food, we select our bomb. So go back, bomb, on collision with another object, and make sure it's alligator is selected. Instead of the food being destroyed, we want the bomb to be destroyed. So bomb, type in destroy. Instead of adding to our timer, we want to subtract from our counter. So we click back, subtract from, type in 5. Instead of adding to our score, we want to subtract. So back, subtract from, done. And instead of playing the coin sound, we want to play a bomb sound. So we want to click hit. Basically, the hit sound will be like a negative effect from eating the bomb. So hit done. So we want to take these two group events and make sure that it's set under the collisions group. Bam, there you go. Now let's test our game to see the progress we've done. Now when we open our mouth, you notice the hit sound plays when we eat our bomb, and when we eat food, you hear the coin sound. Now, we need to add some kind of user interface showcasing our timer, which will be right beside this middle icon, and our score will be right beside this star icon. So let's close this out. Now we need to add two text UIs. So double click outside the layout. Actually, before you do that, don't even do that. Make sure that the UI layer is selected. Then you double click, type in text, go to text, and you can click right here. For this, we want to name this text object hunger counter timer, and we need to change the color to white, and we can make it bigger. We can set this to like 48, and we can set it right here. And we need to make one more text object, and we put it right here. Let's name this score counter, and we can increase the size on this and change the color to white. So let's go back into our game event sheet. Let's create a new group. We need to call this text updates. And inside this text updates, we need to add event. Go to system, type in every, and then select every X seconds. Type in 0.1. For the add action, we need to click. We need to find our hunger counter timer that we created. Next, type in set text. Click on that. Type in hunger counter. Select our hunger counter. This was that global variable that we created earlier. Done. Now we need to create one more event. So click on add event, system, type in every X, select 0.1. Add action, type in score, select our score counter that we created, type in set text, and type in score. So make sure you select the score global variable that we created. So basically what this is telling us is every 0.1 seconds we need to update our UI counter with the actual score and the actual timer. So when we test our game, as you can see here, Actually, we did something wrong here. We need to go back. You see this little error we made right here? We need to subtract 1. We need to make sure that's set to score. My apologies on that. Now, when we test our game, as you can see, our score counter, every time we eat a bomb, we lose our timer. And every time we eat food, we score points and extra time. But we need to add something to make the game more challenging. So go to add event, go to system, every X seconds, 1, done. Then go to add action, go to system, subtract from, make sure hunger counter is selected and the value is 1. So now when we test our game, our timer will go down to make the game more challenging. So every time we eat food, we gain 1, and every time we eat our bomb, we lose 5 seconds.